Joining us now on In the Circle on D1 Softball. She's been a staple of this show for a while, and especially during this great run as for Villanova that's won their third Big East championship in 4 years. They're making their third NCAA tournament appearance under their alma mater head coach, one of the best in the sport, Bridget Orchard, joining us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball. I feel like we can't have a Mayhem Regional Week show without having you on. I feel like we've had you on every time you've been on, and here you are. First, congratulations on getting back to the NCAA tournament. How does it feel to get back after missing it last year?
It's awesome. I think that was definitely, losing last year, I think fueled us for this year, especially the girls and the team and the heartbreak they had. So I think they've been working so hard to get back. So to actually get there and, win that Big East championship game to get to the NCAAs again, it was huge. It was really fun.
You're the 3 seed, and you're going to be going to Arkansas. You'll open with Arizona. There's a full circle thing with there. But let me just first start to give me through election night, selection night. What were you thinking going in? What were you hoping for? Give me through your mindset as you go through those brackets. What were you hoping for, and what was your reaction when you saw your name on the bracket there?
Yeah, I mean, even though you get the automatic bid, you're still kind of nervous. Your stomach hurts because you still think like, what if we don't pop up? But you're like, no, you're getting in. So we're kind of just first just excited to see our name go up there. We were thinking we were probably going to be a 4 seed somewhere. Obviously, being a 3 seed was great, not having to play the home team in front of their crowd. Then going to Arkansas, I'm excited. I love their stadium. It's a beautiful place. The tough thing is, it's for our fans. They're going to make the trip down there, but it costs a lot of money to get a flight there and connections and quick turnaround. So a little bummed for the parents that aren't able to make it, but glad to be able to, stay tuned and watch it on TV. So that was good. We would have liked to, stay in the same time zone. Maybe go down south, go to Florida, somewhere easier for our fans to even possibly drive to or get a quick flight. Like last time we talked, we were in Orlando, and that was an easy $200 flight. My whole family was able to go. This one's a little trickier.
Well, plus you got to meet me in person, so I thought that was a big plus, right? Like, even though it was like 2 minutes, we saw each other as we're getting into a lightning delay, and everybody's asking, does anybody want to talk to her, for Coach Orchard, before me here while we're losing power and there's lightning delay? And we look at each other like, all right, I'll let you go. We'll talk later. That was it. That was our moment.
It was experience for sure.
You get Arizona, and what's fascinating, I will never forget, because when you came back to Villanova, it's no secret that was your goal, is to get this program to beat an NCAA program like you built at Fordham. You're an alma mater there, and you got to go for that first time at Arizona. And you remember how excited you were and the players were to play in that historic stadium in that program. Now, you didn't end up playing Arizona there. You did get a win against UMBC in that regional tournament. Here we are, though, 3 years later, and you do get to play Arizona. Is that kind of weird for you there, full circle?
It really is, because when we were out there, all the girls, the parents like, we want to play Arizona. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We really want that right now, ladies. But as they were putting balls over their bleachers in left field, so we're like, it's our first time here. Let's get our feet wet and enjoy the stadium. And it was an awesome experience, I think, for the girls and their families, being their first Villanova's first ever. It was Mike Candrea. I think it was his final season. That would have been cool to play him, but again, we were like, all right, then we popped up here. I didn't expect to see our name, and then I really didn't expect to see their name. So it was like, whoa, wait, and they said like Big East champs. I'm like, okay, that's us. And then it said like 8-time defending or 8-time national champs. I'm like, ooh, that's Arizona. So it's cool, you get to play against the best of the best, and that's kind of what we're in it for. So it'll be fun. I think it'll be great for our girls, to kind of play against some elite level, high level athletes, and obviously their great coaching staff, and obviously being down at Arkansas with Coach Deifel and her program, it's just going to be a first class experience, I believe.
Yeah, there's British fun regional there, and of course you play Arizona. Caitlin Lowe now is the head coach, coaching her alma mater like you are. What sticks out to you about Arizona?
That's cool. I mean, just the tradition, the tradition they have. Like I said, the Caitlin Lowe. I remember watching her play. I mean, when I was growing up, and it was Arizona, UCLA. That's the storybook programs. In my head, it wasn't the Oklahomas, it wasn't the SEC at all. It was Pac-12, Arizona, UCLA. So in my mind, I'm like, wow, this is just cool that get the opportunity to play against that program. Like I said, they're gonna have power, they're gonna have speed. Excited to kind of see what they bring to the table, and just hopefully we can compete and show our best.
You win the Big East title for the third time in 4 years. Where does this rank for you? I believe this is also your 11th NCAA tournament, I believe, in your career. I mean, you're gone all so often now. I'm losing track of how many. It's a compliment there. But where does this one rank for you? Because I don't want to say you weren't favorites because you were among the favorites in the preseason, but it was kind of a wide open league. UConn was certainly brought a lot back, so they were kind of getting a lot of votes. I felt like you were under the radar, which was not the case in the previous two Big East titles. So take me through this year. You had missed last year, as you mentioned. Clearly, that's a motivational piece there for the returners going into this. So just take me through it this year and the journey to get to where you are now.
Yeah, I just think this year is super special because the way, like you just said, we were underrated. We didn't have that star player, that one big hitter, the one big pitcher. We've rotated our lineups. I talked to our SID, I think the other day we were doing an interview. We've had like 37 different lineups, which is wild because I usually like my 1 through 9, and this who's playing, but we've changed it every single time. We're still changing it, and it just says a lot about the depth of our program and our team. And we have girls that we don't just have a top 9. We're playing 12 and 13, and whoever pitches, we have a different defense, and we're able to kind of make some changes. Which is cool about that is there's a lot for them. Not one person has to do it, so there's not a pressure on them. If I don't, like, we had a Paige Rock, she didn't play well, we were not going to win a game. And so I think now it's like you're not relying. We have 4 different pitchers, so even like our all conference team, we had one kid make first team, and we were regular season champs. We had one person make it, Lily St. Jean, well deserved, but we had 0 pitchers on first or second team. And then the Big East tournament, we had all 3 of them made the tournament team because they're all awesome. They're great. But the fact is they split all these games, and during the season we had a pitcher that's 8-0, a pitcher that's 6-0, a pitcher that's 7-1 or something, but they didn't get any votes from the other coaches. And I think we didn't have that one that was like a unanimous pitcher. Came great. She was amazing. She pitched every single inning of every game for them. So she had probably 20 wins versus our kids that had, 8 or 9, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's tough, I think, as a coach. You don't know who you're going to start or who you're going to pitch. On my SID, I think it's for like 30 minutes before the game. I'm like, I'll have the lineup, but I don't have it any sooner because I'm still working on it. We don't know who's going with who. We have some options, and we just had some girls that have stepped up that haven't played. The previous 2 years they played minimally, and now they're starting and they're contributing and competing. I think it's just really cool to see those girls just kind of grow and see some success out of these kids that kind of stuck with the program, and they've worked hard, and they earn these starting spots. So we'll see a lot of new faces out there this year that might not have played last year or even the year before. So it's just kind of cool to see them step into their own in different positions. We flip-flopped our shortstop and second baseman from last year. So Lily plays second now, and Ava plays short, and they just flip spots. So we're trying a lot of different things. Chloe Smith's our one mainstay in test sites. Those 2 have been playing with us. Allie Jones, of course. So we do have some staples that have played that are 5th years that have been playing and starting since their freshman year, but we've also sprinkled in a few kids of, freshman center fielder. So it's just kind of neat that they've all chipped in and had amazing games and amazing weekends, but it wasn't the same person every weekend.
Boy, I'm glad you brought up Allie and Chloe. I feel like they've been there forever. I remember them in the Orlando Regional there. And they're, talk about your offense, because you're among the best offense in the Big East. I don't know, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I felt like this year was your best offense of all your Villanova teams. Is that accurate?
I think we've had the most, 1 through 9 consistently, as far as having, like I said, we don't have that one, Allie Jones will come up big, she had 2 home runs in championship game, the day before is Kelsey White, they would send him. So I think we're a tough lineup to face because we do have so many, our 7 hitter was hitting 11 home runs, and our 3 hitters only hit like 4, and we kind of rotate and kind of play the hot hand and see who's playing. But I think pitching against us is tough because we don't have, like, I think in our teams in the past, we were top heavy, 1 through 5, and we try to piece together 6, 7, 8, 9. So I think this year, 1 through 9, we're pretty solid. And, again, they're not hitting 400, but they're all, doing well, hitting in the 300 to 350, and they're pretty consistently, hitting balls hard, getting on base. And so I think that's the toughest thing, while facing our team is we do have a lot of options. We're able to get on base and make things happen, which, in the past, we relied heavily on the meat of our order. This year, we're pretty much relying on all of them.
You mentioned the depth of your pitching staff. Was that by design? Is that something you learned? You had Paige, but you mentioned it. You can only go so far with one pitcher. Was that something you built as from a recruiting standpoint? Hey, we got to go by staff, or is this just something that it just played out that way this year?
It kind of just played out that way. I mean, we knew we had some arms, and they were kind of really a great staff leaning on each other. And plus, we've been facing some really preseason. We really challenge ourselves every year. We do that. We've played Duke twice. We played Alabama. We played Georgia Tech. So we do that, and our pitchers aren't good enough, in my opinion, to go one time through the order. Those elite hitters are going to get to know us. We're like, we need to change it up a bit. And they got used to being able to go, you go 3 innings and you go 3, and we'll finish with 2. And that's been super helpful because it's just hard, I think, to get through a lineup twice if you don't have a ton of different pitches and a ton of movement. So it started kind of out that way. We're facing these teams, and then it was working. Carolyn Pelicano just became our saves leader. she's one of our best pitchers, and it's hard to get these kids to kind of want that role, and she's just embraced it. And she pitched a complete game against Alabama earlier in the season, but mostly she does is close, and she's really kind of loved that role. And obviously, like I said, breaking records in that role. And it's just nice to have her come in. Most of the pitchers don't want to do that. They all want to start, which rightfully so. I get it. Some people don't, and they coming in, they're really great, and they're like, I can't come into a game. She's able to do that, so that adds to it. Her mental toughness, I think, is the biggest thing. It's tough. You're coming into a game. Usually, we're up by one or one or two, and you got to come in and get 6 outs. And a lot of times they get tight and they walk people, and she just comes in confident and really can, get ground balls and get us outs and get out of it. And she's got a good changeup, and she could throw pretty hard. So she's been relieving. Then Alyssa Seiler this year was she won the championship game, and she got the win in the game. She was, she leaped. So when they changed that rule, it was great for her because now she fixed it a little bit. She's a senior this year. She's fixed it over the last 2 years, but it was always kind of in the back of her head. Are you going to be illegal? They could call you. Sometimes umpires didn't call, sometimes they did. So this year she's kind of just pitched free and fluid and just really has a ton of spin and movement. And I think that was big for her to kind of get in and get some starts. Obviously, Kelsey White has been steady and great pitcher, outfielder hitter for us. We have Kat Gallant, who's been pitching. She can start games, and she throws really well. And they all kind of complement each other. And then we have a freshman, Miranda Recco, who has got a ton of innings, but she's really good in herself. She got some spots, pitching here and there through threes and just getting used to it being a freshman. So we had, in my opinion, a lot of capable arms that were able to get things done. But even for like the all region stuff, they've only pitched like 70 innings because they all pitch. So we didn't have anybody that's throwing 150 innings. But I think that did help when we got to the tournament. They're all pretty fresh, because they're not throwing 7-inning games. So I think they like that. I think it takes a lot out of the staff to kind of lean on each other. And they also knew, same thing with the pressure. Hey, if I can't find the strike zone, or if they're just squaring me up today, so-and-so can take over. So I think that helps, that they really work well together, knowing that they have each other's back and supporting each other. They're each other's biggest fans. So I think that's kind of cool too.
We're speaking with Bridget Orchard, Villanova head coach here on In the Circle on D1 Softball. Talk about some of the offensive players that have been keys for your team this season that people get to know this weekend when they see you in Fayetteville.
Yeah, well, you got to start obviously with Allie Jones, the 5th-year senior. So she's been, obviously amazing for 5 years. It's crazy that it's been that long. And she had committed to me like in 8th grade to Fordham, and then the coaching changes. She ended up coming here with me, but she's a gamer. When the bright lights come on, she gets better and better and better. She hit 2 home runs in the Big East championship that ended up being the only hits of the game, and all the RBIs. So she's our big kind of steady rock that we lean on, our starting catcher. She bats usually 3rd or 4th in our lineup. Tess Sight's our leadoff batter. She's a senior this year too. So that's flying by. She won it as a freshman. She moved into a leadoff role, I think, after Paige had graduated. So she kind of had to fill those shoes, and she's done a great job. The lefty, you can pretty much do, she can hit for power, she can hit for speed, she can drop down. She usually has long at bats. So she's been a great leadoff for us, kind of setting the table, getting in there. Brooklyn Ostrowski, she got down a little lower in order, but leads our team with 11 home runs. Got a lot of power and strong, and she's a redshirt senior. She'll be back next year, but she tore ACL her sophomore year, so she does have another year, so she'll be coming back. But we have 5 seniors and 3 grad students, so we have 8 technically graduating, leaving, other than the Brooklyn. So they're done. Like you mentioned, Chloe Smith, Rocket, third baseman, been starting there since her freshman year. This year she hadn't quite had the power numbers, but she's been hitting the ball hard, and you look at her stats and just hits the balls hard right at people, and she gets keys hit. She doesn't get nervous. She's been there, done that, played competitively for a long time. So she's definitely something. Ava Franz was our starting shortstop, power numbers, gap numbers, just playing really well. Lily St. Jean was our first team all conference. She was batting over 400. She moved in. Her and Allie switched to the 3rd and 4th spot. So they're really bringing Lena Wagner, who I mentioned earlier. She's our starting right fielder. She's an infielder for us. We started at second base the first game of the year. She was hitting the ball. We had to find a spot for her. So she's been playing right field probably since the second week of play, and really just earned that position, won it, and hasn't come out of the lineup since. Now she's been batting the 2 spot.
You're the 3 seed. It's the second time you've been a 3 seed. You were the 3 seed in Arizona, which I predicted. I remember you were blown away that I picked that in the exact spot in Arizona. I think that's when you're like, all right, he could be my friend the rest of the way. We could still talk.
Yeah.
Orlando, even though you were the 4, in the 16 seed with UCF, which basically tells me you were the best 4 seed. In other words, you were that close to being a 3 again, and now you're a 3 this year. Do you feel you're getting that respect there of being a 3? You mentioned earlier you didn't think you'd be a 3 necessarily, but it seems like you have set the standard here where if you win in this era of the Big East, if you win the Big East title and win your league, maybe regular season and tournament, you're respected enough now as a Big East champion that you could be a 3 seed in this tournament.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the Big East has shown that they've gone out, they've played some great schedules, like I said, UConn going out early, playing really tough teams, challenging themselves, getting better every day. Creighton's, great team. They're young and they're hungry, and they came out and they won a lot of games this year. So I definitely think you've seen Hall, the defending Big East champs from last year, and they have a great program. So I think top to bottom, the Big East is just getting better and better. And it is showing from the RPIs that they're playing stronger teams, they're winning some, big games. They're able to get into it. So it's definitely, I think, like you said, the respect for getting back and getting a 3 seed. Hopefully, where our goal as a conference is to get some at-large bids eventually. If we keep competing, keep playing these tough games, getting in there. Butler's been challenging people playing well. So I think that the better the Big East gets, obviously, it's better for everybody. And I think the coaches are doing a great job of just scheduling and winning. I think our toughest thing did it to ourselves. We lost midweek games. The only reason I didn't think we would get the seed because we lost these midweek games. We dropped some games I didn't think we should have lost even early in the season. But our conference games, I think, helped us. They helped us get better, and I think they helped us get the seed that we're getting.
Well, and not only that, but you also challenged yourself scheduling. Full disclosure, because I was trying to I always study your schedule to see when I can get you on the show, and I'm like, you're playing almost every day. Like you started the season playing in Atlanta, where Alabama was in there, Georgia Tech was the host. You went to Harrisburg to play a tournament with JMU as the host. The one that stuck to me is you played in Durham, where you played Duke twice and Boston, NCAA tournament teams there. You went to Tampa, where you played Florida Gulf Coast, who's in the NCAA tournament as well. You beat Louisville and you beat Florida Gulf Coast in that tournament, as a matter of fact, before you even started conference play. So I know you played Virginia as well, which they're an NCAA tournament team. You played Missouri when Larissa Anderson brought her team back up to the Northeast as well. Just talk about that challenging of a schedule that you've played. You played Delaware, who was right there in the mix for the conference title in the regular season in their league. You pushed your team this year, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I think I do that every year. I love doing
Sure.
it. It's scary. It's scary, but I really think it's humbling, and it exposes us early on. I think the girls need, especially nowadays, I think these girls need to be challenged. They need to see failure. You don't want to go lose games, but at the same time, like they're seeing the best of the best. Like we go down there, our first games against Alabama. I'm like, this is what it's gonna be. And it only gets easier from there. So I'm like, hey, we get Alabama, we bring, Missouri comes in, Virginia comes in on our bye weekend. And they're like, what are you doing on a bye? It's Easter weekend and we have Missouri and Virginia coming. I'm like, these are some, we'll just catch up some games here. No big deal. But I think that's what gets the girls ready and prepared for conference play, because when you see those types of pitchers or, the power that Missouri had and the speed and Virginia's pitching staff, we saw them right before we got, their bye weekend and then we go into conference play. It made the Big East pitchers, not as intimidating or scary. It's like, hey, we've been there, done that. We got no hit by Alabama. But at the same time, like we come back that next week, guess what? We're in the cages and we're working and trying and trying. Where I feel like if you go down, you beat somebody 8-0 or 8-0, and then you realize like they think they're better than they are. And I kind of, in our upperclassmen, know that's our strategy. We'll come back. It takes us a while to get to be 500. It always is. We're like, oh, you're 2-5, 2-10. I'm like, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We'll go on a streak. We'll start winning some games. But I like it. And it's just like I said, as long as the girls are mentally tough enough to handle, and it's softball, like anybody can win these games. So there's a time we do go out and we pick up wins. Last time we were at Arizona play or at Arkansas playing, we beat Florida State, we beat Baylor. We went there when our fifth years were freshmen. The COVID year in 2020 we went there. So, but it's softball. So, sometimes you go to these tournaments, it depends who you're matching up with. We may get their number 2 or 3, and you might be able to steal a win here or there because they may have a bigger, opponent
Sure.
after us. So those are those preseason games. And again, they're trying things out. They're doing different things, and you might not see their best, and we can bring our best, so we can pop one out of there here and there. Somebody hits a ball and somebody drops it, all of a sudden you're winning this game. So I think that it's not like some of these other sports. I think a lot of them like, how do you go play these teams? I'm like, and we may. I mean, we've played games where we have lost bad. You're like, oh no, this is probably shouldn't do this, but then we come back every year and say, hey, it's going to get us better. And I think that gets us through the off season too. Hey, we're going to open up with Alabama. So you guys are going to have to be ready, and it gets them working a little focus. And for freshmen, first time out in the field, and we go down. Georgia Tech has a beautiful facility. They get out and play. We've been out to Auburn to start off. We started off UCLA one year. And I think that's just, again, it's college softball, and kind of shows the freshmen right away, like this is not travel ball. This isn't high school. Like they're going to come at you hard.
let's talk. I mean, you're a 3 seed. Boston, obviously, you played earlier in the year. They're a 3 seed. They're going to be in Norman. Another team that I think is kind of snuck under the radar, St. Francis,
Yes, I noticed that.
undefeated in their conference, which is not easy to do. They're a 3 seed. What's your reaction to that? I mean, there's some mid-major
Yes.
programs there in the Northeast area getting that little bit of respect from a seeding standpoint. Maybe, certainly I know Coach Waters felt that maybe they deserved a better draw than they got, but still, are you starting to see here the Northeast here kind of rise here as far as successful
Oh
softball?
yeah. Yeah, I think it just says a great thing for softball in general that it's just getting bigger and better everywhere. So every team is getting elevated. I mean, there's so many softball players, and I think that it's great for the growth of the sport to say, okay, we got a lot of these kids, and they might end up in mid majors. They're really good players, but the SEC had recruited their players, they were done, and we still have this handful of really good athletes, and we're able to kind of pick them up here in the Northeast and play. And the St. Francis team, I always think of power when I think of them. Now that's kind of a Miami, Ohio type powerhouse. But I think the St. Francis, back when they were coached, when NC State coaches got there, they were just, I think of them as home run, home run, home run,
Sure.
St. Francis. So I think they've always had a great program up there in the Northeast. But yeah, the same thing, it popped up. I'm like, all right, this is kind of, you kind of have like, hey, this is kind of cool. And I love Ashley, love her program at BU. So you really wanted to see them do some damage. It kind of reminds me of like the JMU back in the day when they got theirs and they made it the World Series. I think everybody in the Northeast or mid-major anywhere, I think was just kind of cool to see those programs excel. They work really hard, and they deserve the respect they're getting.
I want you to put on your analyst hat. One year we had you on as a guest analyst during the postseason. I'm curious. You played Boston. Did Ricard pitch against you? Oh,
Yeah, we had a leadoff home run against her.
hey, not many can say that.
Sites, yeah.
What impressed you
Yeah,
when you saw?
sites.
What impressed you about him, seeing him in person, and Ricard in particular,
Oh,
who's top 25 Fanos Player of the Year?
Oh, I just think their swagger. I talked to Ashley, Coach Waters after, like her team is just so fired up and spirited and confident, and they get after you. Like I said, we led the game off with a home run, and they were like, yeah, whatever, we're gonna score 3 in the bottom of the you're like, okay, gotcha. So but that's how that team was. They weren't like some teams would give a home run, they're like, oh wow, like they weren't intimidated, they weren't even phased, and I think and they put up a really good game, I think, against Duke right after us. But I think that their team is just, they're winners. They win, they're confident, they're going to get after it. Their shortstop hits a ton, and they're up and down their lineup too. They got power and speed. And their catcher, I think, has caught every single game, and you're just like, oh, and they don't look like these ginormous athletes. You're like, oh, look at these big, strong girls. They're like, hey, average, and then they're just putting them out of the park left and right, and they're fast and they're aggressive. But they're just a fun team, fun team to watch, fun team to play against. I think she's done awesome with her program there, just because of the fact that they're just going to get after it, and they're not afraid of anybody. They want to play anybody, so they're probably, hey, we never not got a great job, but they're not going to back down to Oklahoma. They're going to come ready and they're going to play hard. And you said Ricard's been pitching, and I think top 25, nominated player of
Yep.
the year.
Yep.
So I mean, she's not going to be phased. So, and they don't just have her, so we hit her and they put somebody else in that struck the next 5 out.
Boaz,
So,
yeah, they got
okay, yeah. They pulled her like off first base. The other pitcher, I'm like, oh, you have Avery here that's going to pitch too. Like, what? So they have a lot of stuff up their sleeve.
Yeah, they do. They got a very good team there. You got a good team too. Talk about facilities. I know last time we had you on, you were talking. You're in that process of development in there. Give us an update on the facilities over there, which I know has been a big project over there.
At Villanova?
Yeah,
Yeah, our field, yeah, for sure. Like, we're still working. We're hosting the Big East Major. Hopefully, we're up for it. It's been approved by the coaches, the ADs. I believe that's the next step, that they have to approve it. We were supposed to host this year, but we don't have lights, so they're going to rent lights for next year. So our AD has been great with that. Just supporting us and kind of what is it going to take to get the tournament here. So we have that turf the infield, brand new wall padding, dirt on the infield. We need more. We need the field itself is awesome. Love it. We need the seating structure behind. I want some outfield bleachers. I keep telling her idea. I want like what Oklahoma State has, like the party deck out there, beer garden. So I'm looking for a little more fan experience here, but it was great. Like we brought in Missouri this year, like you said, coming to the SEC playing on our field. So it shows, our athletic director and our whole department, they're like, hey, these teams are going to come in. They're willing to play us. We need to get some stands, and we do start to get more and more fans at our games. So I'd like that experience to lift up a little bit as far as, we don't have the locker room down there. Our locker room, we have 2 new hitting cages. I'd like to cover those a little bit. So I love facility. That's why I love going to Arkansas, because it's just amazing facility out there. So we did get a video board. So we have a new video board out there that It's definitely a highlight for us too. So we're just kind of each year piecing something together to make it a better experience for not only student athletes but also the fans.
Well, I'm excited to hear the potential of you hosting next year the Big East tournament. That's big. That's big. Because I think first of all, you've deserved that for a while with the success you've had. So that'll be great scenery if that hopefully gets taken care of. That'd be a pretty cool exposure and a great week.
Yeah, I just love to be able to stay home, the traveling, you travel, travel, travel. So it'd be just so nice. Because even up at Providence, they did a great job up there hosting, but for us, it's like a 6.5 hour bus ride, to get there. And we've been out in Chicago, so that's a flight. So it's just, we get to stay home, sleep in our own beds, don't have to worry about feeding them every hour. So it's nice.
Last question, we'll let you go. Obviously, as you get to Bogle Park, I'm sure you'll pick Courtney Deifel's brain on some of the facility stuff, because that's a beautiful venue that they have over there in Fayetteville. And, Caitlin Lowe's got a beautiful one herself, as you've been to in Arizona. But on the field, what are you looking for from your team this week to have success in that regional? You have to do blank.
I think I think we need the confidence. I think we need to come in with some swagger, and you're not going to come in. I want them coming in expecting to win games, expecting to play hard. I think that's in the Big East. We showed up and I think they were determined like we're going to win this. And I want them to come in. We're not trying to be unrealistic and say, hey, we're going to come in, we're going to sweep through a regional and get a super regional. I want them to show up ready to go, ready to play, and kind of just have confidence in themselves. And again, they've been there, done that. Just play hard, and you win, or you lose. But at the same time, I want them to put their best foot forward and just play really hard and don't be nervous. And easier said than done, play in front of these fans, the big stage, big spotlight, that they're not really used to a ton. Don't play in front of a lot of people a lot. So I just want them to kind of relax and come out with some fire.
That's Villanova head coach Bridget Orchard. The Wildcats will be the 3 seed. A battle of Wildcats. I'm going to be specific. Villanova will be the 3. They'll take on Arizona in a starlight marquee regional in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Coach, always appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. You've been a friend of the show for a while. I was happy for you when I saw you clinch that title. I didn't want to text you and jinx anything, so consider this the congrats there. But good luck in Fayetteville, and thanks for always coming on the show with us.
Thank you. Pleasure. I love talking softball with you all the time. Appreciate it.